Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis. It's the Comic Roundtable, and it's crowded. We have extra people. Good to see you guys both. Tonight we have with us Rez Reeds. How's it going, Rez?
Hey, going great.
Awesome. And back with us for the second time is John on Demand from Comic Book Look. How's it going, sir?
Going good. We don't have snow this time. I'm so excited about that.
Right on. Right on. Oh, well, yeah, it hasn't snowed for a few days here either, so that's a good thing. Here, so we're gonna talk some comics. Got a little mix of everything. We flipped the imaginary three-sided coin. It landed on DC, so we're gonna talk DC first. What do we want to talk DC wise? John, what do you got?
Well, I definitely have some DC. 3 books, as it turns out, you guys, and just kind of making a field trip all over the DCU. First of all, you want me just to kind of dive in?
Yeah, sure. Pick one.
Okay. All right, we're going to grab our passport, you guys, and make a quest over to DC in canon China universe material with new Superman Ish 10. And it's just been such a blast. Such a fun cover, you guys, on here. The Speedster alternative, Superman Reals, new Superman and Real Superman hanging out together. A fun series all in all. And just ultimately having Superman make that cameo and seeing new Superman identify more with his role model / kind of what he's based off of was kind of a rad twist to the whole thing. I'm loving this series, and it's the most quirky thing I think I've seen DC do for me. I don't read any normal Superman titles, so this is a big stretch for me, but I'm happy to get on the plane, check this out. It's so much fun every time I get it, so I like it. Yeah,
for sure. Same me. It's a fun comic. It's just a straight up fun comic. I really enjoy it. I like the main character. Yeah, he's kind of a knucklehead sometimes, whatnot. Yeah. But we see growth. So I mean, you get that kind of good feeling about the fact that he's got some some flaws and whatnot, but he kind of works through those. It's got a good sense of humor to it. But it has some serious stuff about it also. But it doesn't take itself super serious, it's not dark, that sort of thing. Just I like you. I think it's a fun book. I read Superman. I don't read the action stuff. The Superman Reborn thing was kind of a miss for me because I chose not to get the crossover part, so I just got bits and pieces of it. So this has some kind of supposed tie-in stuff to it. Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's that kind of weird scene in here where we get the skeleton Superman that's in the Chinese hell. That was strange. I don't know what that's about because I don't remember seeing that anywhere in the Reborn stuff. So I'm not 100% on that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. We didn't actually get to see her in this costume though, right?
Not entirely. No, like it was just kind of bits and pieces. And it's just so fun just seeing that logo on both of their chests with that shape. The tile shape. It's fun. It's funny too. I got to call myself out, you guys. When I reviewed me getting this book in Sergeant America's car, I think that I might have been grouchy that day because after I read it, I was like, this is why I read this book. It's so much fun. Like, I don't know. Like, for me, it's like, I'm buying so many books, but I definitely am going to keep rocking with this for a while because it's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, for me, it's a good laugh. It's got the right mix of stuff going on in it, and because the characters are all new. I mean, they're playing the Justice League, but they're not. I mean, clearly, I mean, the Chinese Batman, is a tubby kind of a guy, and I don't know. They're all kind of fun. So
exactly, yeah, yep.
Cool.
Oh gosh, yeah. I have 2 more. I suspect that you might be reading 1 or 2 of them.
So, we want to talk Detective Comics?
There you go. We do. Gosh. Yeah. I have 2 more. I suspect that you might be reading.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. How's it going, sir?
Fine. I'm just getting all this stuff ready right here.
Sweet. While you're doing that, we're going to talk some Detective Comics.
Okay.
954. You got the variant.
I got the variant. Okay.
Now. Okay. First debate. How do you say his name? Is it Rasha Ghul or is it Raza Ghul? What is it?
I call it Raza. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
I do like Raj. Like I just stretch it out a little. I don't know.
Right. Okay. So as long as we're all agreed to say it however we want to, awesome. Okay. So Russ, what do you think of this issue?
I enjoyed seeing Raza. I enjoyed seeing him like really taunt and tease Batman. You know, tell him, hey, you know, are you sure it's you who's not locked up behind these bars? You know,
Right.
and you might as well go ahead and let me out. And once he lets him out, then he freaking dates him by using this ancient herb or magic of some sort, and just delivers him to Shiva. And then we see at the end our lovely, quiet orphan who's about to take everybody out. I'm like, I cannot wait. I'm just too excited for this. This is just awesome. I love Detective.
Yeah, I really did like the ending. I really did like the ending where they're like, oh, well, you know, because of course it's the fake Batman, the military Batman are like, well, you know, we can't go in there. There's like, you know, there's like one person that can just go wading into the thing. And of course you get that great scene of her, you know, shuriken stuck in her shoulder and whatnot.
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
As she's stomping along into, you know, that's going to be exciting. I would guess next issue is going to be all kinds of bloodshed. So I don't know how you take down a whole League of Assassins, though, if you're not going to kill them, though. That could be interesting. Or is this when they flip the switch and she does? I don't know.
That encounter was pretty intense. You know, that she had this. Who knows? All bets are off. I'll be curious to see how 955 goes, too. Yeah.
You know, interesting. I think they're playing a little bit with the whole DC universe with the, you know, Batman looking into the shadow, and then, you know, they try and convince him not to look. You know, Raj is talking with him about the fact that, you know, he's convincing him to not look in the shadow, but he keeps looking into the shadow, so they need to kind of figure out how to do that. And the whole, did you really tell me this? You know, I mean, you know, kind of a thing. I don't know if they're playing with the fact that, of course, you know, DC's gone through 3 incarnations in the last, 7 to 10 years. You know, we had the DC universe, then of course we had the New 52, and now we have Rebirth, you know, kind of a thing. I don't know if they're kind of playing with some of that too, because I know there's some more storylines coming where it's, you know, who knows what the mix of the different incarnations of the DC universe is. So I kind of wondered if some of that is a play on that, because he's saying, you know, Raj, you told me this story, and he's like, did I really? And I wasn't sure if Raj was just being kind of a smart ass. Oh, did I tell you that story or not? Or if he was questioning whether or not he really did. Like Batman's remembering a piece of, you know, the old DC universe, whatever that's called. So I'm not 100% sure on that part.
I have a really random question for you guys, too. I noticed this while reading it, just on the 3rd page in there. A reference asterisk to see All-Star Batman #9. Is this the first nod between those 2 series? Because I don't know if I've seen that before, and I thought they were separate. Am I wrong in thinking that, I guess? And you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's realized, because I mean, I've been reading both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. And yeah, they haven't crossed in any way.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I just was curious about that. I'm like, whoa, okay.
And as a matter of fact, that see All-Star Batman #9, I read that and I'm scratching my head because I don't remember it. That's how important it was, I guess. I don't know, like, you know, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of geeky with those, but yeah, I was just like, cool. But yeah, good issue overall.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the art was kind of like, you know, okay, I don't know. This is a different artist. Something about it looked different to me than what it seems like it has been. So I don't know. It was okay. Yeah. The art wise and whatnot. I just, as a side note, I hate this font. This, you know, the heavy white shadowed font. I mean, of course my camera doesn't pick that up, but I have a hard time reading it. I'm like, whoa, who did what? But
yep. You know, the one thing I will say about this issue too, it was an adjustment for me. I'm going through Clayface and Batwoman withdrawals.
Yes. Yeah, right.
Those are my favorite.
And I don't know, you know, how long is it going to be away from that? You know, who knows? You know, I would assume at some point they're going to be back. Yeah. They'll be back in it in some sense. I'm always suspicious that Batwoman's going to get pulled farther and farther away from this because she does have her own title. Of course, not that she can't be in 6 things, because, you know, Batman's in half of the DC line, so there's no reason that there's no reason that she couldn't be that way too. But
exactly.
The other thing, I mean, just I find curious is, of course, this is written by Tynion IV, or Tinian IV, however you say his last name. And And he uses the same characters all over the place. I mean, because he used the League of Assassins and Raj and a bunch of them for the last run of Red Hood and the Outlaws too. So I'm just curious as to, I mean, is his go-to people to do? Or, I mean, does he have a particular story, or he just likes to write around these people? I'm kind of curious about that as to why he keeps using the same villains.
Yeah.
Jay, you reading any DC comics?
Yeah, I was just finishing up that one, the Detective Comics one. I thought it was all right. I kind of didn't like the thick black outlines on the art though.
Right. There's something about it. There's something about the art that's different. I haven't gone back to look at the last issue, but there's something that's, I don't know if they enlisted other inkers or exactly what the deal is. Yeah.
You know, I enjoyed the one flashback though, when Ra's al Ghul was talking to Batman. He was kind of explaining to him that he did at one point know he was in the know of what's been going on in the shadows, and he had to use a magical element to rid him of those memories. I did enjoy those flashbacks. The art was
right.
Different colors.
Yeah, because they colored them. Because they colored them really different. That's part of what it was. Too. Largely, yeah. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like when they do that on flashbacks when the art is different. That way, you know when it gets back to the present time. Like it makes it easier.
Yeah. Visual cues, and that's what it should be. It's a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, what else? What else do we want to talk about DC wise?
Well, I have one more.
Go ahead.
And I'm really sheepish about this one, you guys, and it's a terrible story. So, if you saw Sergeant's video, this is what it is. But Red Hood and the Outlaws issue 9. And the reason why I'm so timid to talk about this is issue 8 was sealed, so I didn't open it, so I never read it. And so jumping from 7 to 9, I was like, wait, what's going on? But all in all, I'm okay with it just because I love this book for the sole purpose of character development. All 3 characters are just continuing to get more and more robust and rich for me. And it's a very engaging book to learn about different characters that, the main books don't tell us as much about. So I really enjoy that aspect of it.
Remind me, why was the last issue sealed?
It came with some sort of a comic or something with it, like a preview of some sort. So it was just sealed.
Did it come with a Borderland comic or something like that? I can't remember what.
I think so. Yeah, it was something random. I don't know what I should just read it.
Right, because I opened it up because of course I wanted to read my comic. So my comic just went down in value dramatically because I tore it out of its polygon. But yeah, I mean, so basic premise is that they're kind of doing an Artemis story right now. She's off to get the bow of Ra, which is supposed to be just for her, but there's other Amazons. I guess what I really like about this is that Artemis and this other Amazon that's suddenly reappeared that she thought she had killed are like a splinter group of Amazons. Instead of living in Themyscira early on, they kind of had their disagreement with how they wanted to live their lives and not being under the Greek gods or whatever. And so they peeled off and wandered off into the desert, basically, to that imaginary land of Quanar. What?
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce it either. I was like, how would I say that?
The mysterious Middle Eastern country that DC uses. That way they don't get in trouble politically for bombing an actual Middle Eastern country. It basically is what it comes down to. So it's this whole other branch of Amazons, which I'm always kind of curious about anyway. So it's fun. I go back and forth on whether or not I always want the story told through the voice of Jason Todd of Red Hood. I mean, I know it's his name on the title, but I wonder sometimes if we're not going to get to really learn who the other characters are internally if the story's all told from his perspective. So
yep, agreed. And in that issue, I will say the one really jump off the page moment for me especially was that nod to the Robin and getting the bejesus kicked out of him, but just when they're side by side like that. I really like that kind of stuff because that was a powerful story. So just giving that nod is cool. I like it.
Yeah, because that's the other thing is they're literally next door to the place that Jason Todd was crowbarred to death.
Yep.
I guess he wasn't technically. he technically wasn't killed by the crowbar, right? It was the bomb that blew up afterwards. They got him. but still, so yeah, that's some pretty dramatic stuff and whatnot. So yeah, I also love Bizarro, and I'm kind of like Mike Sergeant America. I'm a Bizarro fan, and I love the fact that they're flying to this place in an airplane that does not fly because they want to give Bizarro something to do. So literally, Bizarro is flying the entire plane to the place. And the fact that he lets go of the plane for a while to fight the other, to fight the fighter jets, and then swoops back down and catches the plane. That's pretty great. So I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you missed in the last issue is you missed the backstory of Artemis and her friend that shows up at the end of this issue.
Oh.
You miss kind of the how they grew up together, what they were trying to do. Both of them were training to be this guardian, and her friend ends up becoming the guardian. And then
I should just open that. I should open up.
Right on. And the last DC book that I have is Wonder Woman issue number 20, which I really like. It's getting exciting, and this is in the modern era version of Wonder Woman. Blisk Everly's art is amazing pants. I mean, for me, it's like the some of the best stuff. Love Wonder Woman's hair all the way through this. I mean, she could just draw Wonder Woman's hair every panel, and I'd probably be happy. Not that I have a hair fetish, but it just Wonder Woman's hair looks awesome and all this stuff. But so we get kind of we find out that the doctor that's been kind of after Wonder Woman has decided that she is going to she can't figure out how to find Themyscira for these gods that have basically abducted her daughter. So instead she goes after those gods, and she uses this witch to go after the gods, Circe. And the witch, she uses Wonder Woman as a power source, and Wonder Woman doesn't know it. She shows up in a battle that Wonder Woman's in, and she basically taunts Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman throws a lasso around her. It's like she's trying to catch her. And once she lassos her, she casts the spell and basically uses that as like a lightning rod, and uses Wonder Woman's demigod power to enchant this spell to trap some people inside of a dog. It was really cool. I'm really enjoying the heck out of it. Of course, this week we found out that Greg Rucka, the writer of the current run, he is leaving the book at issue number 25, which for a lot of people is like, so we do know who's taking over the book, both on some of the art and the writing is going to be the I can't remember her name right offhand, but it's the writer who does the teen girls, what's it called? DC Heroines or something like that. It's kind of it's a digital first, I think, book. So that'll be curious. I'm just curious. I don't know I haven't taken the time yet to look to see what else they've written, if that's what their basic experience is. So it'll be interesting to go from a book that's written for pre-teens and then to be writing a book that I would hope they don't sell as a pre-teen book, There
you go. Yeah.
So 5 more issues and done with Rucka. And he's not leaving because there's any upset or he's mad or anybody's kicking him off the book or like that. He has other commitments to other people. And because this book is, twice a month, it's taking up too much of his time to write a twice a month book. So off to do Black Magic and all of his other cool indie books, I think that he's got lined up and stuff, but still really love it. Love the artwork. I will be tracking down people who know me, know I spend big money on art pages. I'm going to go find some original art of Everly's work because it's just awesome.
Nice.
And that's my DC books. Anybody else got any other DC books they read?
No.
DC news? I haven't heard of anything. Television or movie or otherwise. We're down to like 48 days to Wonder Woman, I think.
That's cool.
As far as the movie. Cool. I'm excited about that. So that'll be. Have we heard anything else about the Black Lightning TV show? I saw a costume for it, a mock-up. What's that?
What's it called?
Black Lightning. They're giving Black Lightning his own TV show too. So.
Oh, okay.
I'll be curious to see how that pans out. And we're going to reach a point where there's going to be too many superhero TV shows for me to realistically watch. I mean, I'm so far behind. I'm so far behind the ones. I mean, there's one a week anymore, right? So, yeah. Well, so we want to roll on to Marvel. Want to talk some Marvel books? Let's do that. Jay, you reading any Marvel books currently? Maybe, maybe not.
10. Then I started this issue 19. So a lot of stuff happened in between that I don't know about because I just skipped it all like to the singles. And I heard it was Bendis' last issue. So I don't know if he's just finishing this story and someone else continuing it, or if it's just the end of the series.
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. I don't know, like.
I doubt that that's ending.
Yeah.
Waited.
Not with all the movie hype and stuff. I can't imagine that it's.
Yeah.
I think boy, Jay, you're lagging awful bad.
Can you hear me?
Not really. You're lagging really bad. Okay. John,
I'm here.
what are you reading Marvel wise?
I am reading. Well, I'll keep the best for last, I think. Dr. Afra.
We have a robotic ghost here.
Yeah.
But I'm reading Dr. Afra, the Star Wars book.
Oh, cool.
Issue 6, and I call it the Darth Vader continuum because it's basically a nod to the Darth Vader series. Loving it. It's a lot of fun. If you're not reading it, check it out. 6 issues in. Evil droids.
I have no. Is that what it is? I have no idea what that book. What?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not horribly steeped in Star Wars lore.
Yeah,
so.
Totally. It's a cool you to be a part of for sure. I read a ton of the novels growing up, and this is just it's Darth Vader happened. It was like a 25 issue run, and they stopped that. Well, this is all the supporting characters from that. And their continued travels, but there's an evil version of C-3PO and R2-D2 that just make me grin from ear to ear because he's fluent in 10,000 forms of language and 1,000 forms of torture, just comical things like that.
Nice.
And it's just it's that fun part of the Star Wars I would die if it made the TV show or movie in some capacity because it would just be so funny. But I'm enjoying it. I suspect it's probably gonna be coming to an ending soon because at the end of this one there wasn't what's coming up next, and instead they're pushing another Star Wars series at the end of it called the Screaming Citadel. So I think that we might be at the end of the heyday on this, which really makes me sad.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a fun run. So.
Right. Sounds cool. That'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious to see an evil version of those two characters. That would be.
Oh yes.
I'm almost just at the end, so Dr. Afra, but I don't know. I guess I enjoy the movies more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a fun add-on.
Yeah, I may do it one day.
Yeah.
All right. The only Marvel book I picked up this week was this Fiddle Faddle book, Power Man and Iron Fist, issue number 15. The final issue. I have some qualms with it being the final issue, just in the fact is it feels like it's the final issue because Iron Man is getting his own, Iron Fist is getting his own title, Power Man's getting his own title, and they're not going to be together anymore. And it feels to me like that is partially due to the shows. I don't know because, like I said, I don't read Jessica Jones. I don't know how much it's moved that comic has moved towards TV show version of Jessica Jones versus like the Jessica Jones that started out in this. Because when this first started, Jessica Jones was in this. She was a secondary character. Luke Cage would go home and he would be, doing his ridiculous, saying, silly weird phrases instead of swearing. And Jessica Jones would like drop F-bombs and stuff like that. because she could swear, but he's not allowed to swear around the kid. All really funny stuff. I mean, they were still a couple. I don't think they're a couple now. I mean, now I think they're a non-couple as far as that goes. They just kind of dropped her out of the book. The book started out really fun. It wasn't so serious. It was just kind of a romp. These two guys kind of, are they getting back together again? Are they not getting back together again? And then fighting the old guys from the hood kind of a thing. And then Civil War II came along, and they had to write tie-ins to that, and suddenly it all got really serious because, of course, it was heroes fighting heroes. Iron Fist gets thrown in jail at one point and kind of sees the other half, and it never came back. It never came out the other side of that without still kind of carrying this like heavy stone that kind of took down the kind of romp that the book was for me. That was a lot of fun. Matter of fact, in this issue, there's no silly swearing in it, because one of the things that's just I thought was always kind of funny is that Power Man has learned not to swear, and instead he has all these ridiculous little cute kid sayings that he says instead of swearing. None of that's in this. All the kind of fun stuff kind of got sucked out of it. So maybe it's good that it ended, but like I said, it feels to me like the plug got pulled on it so they could write the separate books because the TV shows had them as separate people. I don't know. I'm not going to pick up the solo titles. And so this is the second week in a row I have books from Marvel that are gone. So
Aww.
My Marvel books are just disappearing. I don't know. And I haven't found a whole lot that I know I want to replace it with. So we'll see.
Netflix aside, I do have to say I never thought I would be advocating for the solo Iron Fist title, but I have been checking it out, issues 1 and 2 so far, and it is a very, very fun nod to the Brubaker Refraction run. 7 Capital Cities of Heaven, that tournament kind of a feel. Issue 2 was so much more exciting than issue 1, but those books were everything that the Netflix show needed to be. And,
okay.
I completely recommend it, but
I may go get it. I love the Brubaker.
Yeah,
that group of books was awesome, and yes,
yep.
And because my worry was that it was going to reflect more like the very dry Netflix
no
show.
No, it is not that. It is actually really well. I was surprised because I'm like, I'm gonna try it. I had a friend that was recommending it, and I'm like, we'll see about that. And then I'm like, this is awesome. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I may have to hunt it down then.
Yeah. Because
if it's cool like that old stuff, I'm all over that. That would be a blast. So.
It is a very nice nod to it, so you won't be disappointed with issue 2, I promise you.
Cool.
So, Marvel-wise, I guess on my side, not as controversial. I was gonna try to do a parody video about finding everything wrong with X-Men Blue issue 1. Like, what does she think she's wearing? Or whatever the case is. Just anything I could find wrong with it. But ultimately, you guys, truth be told, X-Men Blue #1. Just like X-Men Gold #1 was a fun read. X-Men Gold, of course, had its own things happening in it. And that aside, I liked the book. I was a huge fan of the issue. I didn't pick up on that until after all that stuff happened, but I was like, oofda. But X-Men Blue was equally a fun thing. It brought me back into X titles. And so if you've been sleeping lately on X-Men books, like what is going on with all these characters, this is a cool way to get back into it. And it truthfully is a lot of fun. And it takes me back to why I was reading X-Men in the first place. So I love it. The original team, we got, what is it, Black Tom and Juggernaut in here, which is pretty rad.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So just some of those classic mashups and a lot of nods to previous series. That kind of thing. It's a lot of fun. I recommend it. So.
Cool. So do you think if you picked up that you would need to have the gold also?
Ooh. The gold you just need because it's going to be a collector's item soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a huge X-Men fan way back in the day, the Claremont era of X-Men and whatnot. And yeah, I have shied away from it because it always seemed like in the modern era, it's quite the soup of I don't know what's going on kind of a thing. So I feel like this is a kind of a place to stick your foot back in and not be
exactly
offended by where it's gone to or whatever. I don't know, but
Yep.
I keep wanting to, but then I'm gonna get nervous because I don't really want the whole crossover and all that kind of stuff. And how long is it going to be before? I know that Marvel has supposedly swore off event books for 18 months at least.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, what's going to happen is then we're going to have a conversation about what qualifies as an event book, right? That's what's going to happen. They're going to release something, and we're all going to go, wait, I thought you said no event books, and this isn't an event book, right? So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that's why I have all the kind of odd Marvel titles that I do, because they tend to not be tied into that stuff so much. And maybe that's why they're all getting canceled. Maybe I should just wise up and read the event stuff. I don't know. But I don't know. But yeah, that whole thing with the gold one, that's a shame that's what the book is going to be known for and know about. It doesn't matter what the story is now. It doesn't matter what happened in it.
Well, and that gentleman's career, like, yikes. Because I thought the art was actually really on point. It was a good writing and art combo. I was loving it. And then like 2 days later, all this controversy erupted, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Good. Well, now see, because he used to work for DC, he did a lot of Batgirl when Gail Simone was on the book. Really liked the art. I mean, the art was great. I mean, that was So yeah, well, yeah. When you choose to do things like that, you can pretty much.
Yeah.
And to that degree, you're going to make yourself a pariah. There's no way around it, kind of a thing. I mean, I've seen, follow enough creators on, Twitter and stuff like that. Occasionally they'll go, remember, you may think it's funny to sneak something into the background, but if somebody finds that in the background, you are screwed, and that will follow you everywhere. It's not like, it's not like you can just, hide it and then, go to the next company and be okay, kind of a thing. And then to do the level that this is, where it's that offensive to some people, it's going to be what's crazy is that the other creators that are on the book are Jewish. So it's just like, wow. I mean, what do you think of the people you're working with? I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't feel the need to rush out and get it because it's going to be a collector's issue, though.
Price is gonna go up, Travis.
What's that?
The price is gonna go up. If you don't get it now, you may never get it.
I'm not too worried about it. So it would be more interesting if everybody was out burning their issue. Then the few issues that were left, then they'd be worth something. But how many issues of that?
That's true.
First run, a #1 X-Men. How many do you think they printed?
Yeah.
80,000 or something.
I think on eBay they're trying to sell them for like $40 when the comic shops are throwing them away.
Right. So those books, the modern books that are worth money, it's the reason they're worth money is because they printed so few of the first issues because they didn't know they were going to sell. The first issues of like Walking Dead, for instance, I think they had a print run of like 2,500 or something. Well, it's hugely popular. Plus, there's only a couple thousand of them in existence, so of course they're going to be more expensive. But most of the big two books that get cranked out, there's lots of them. So I don't know, that weird secondary eBay market just freaks me out anyway. So
yeah, you just wait and they'll go back down to like $1. Like just wait a month or something.
Yeah, I don't know. So okay, so any other Marvel books?
I was reading Weapon X. I don't know if you guys read that.
So how is that?
I thought it was okay, but it's like if you read Wolverine and Weapon X, it's nothing that new. But if you haven't, it's pretty good. It's like I believe they're heading towards where they're gonna build clones, because there's names of all the people that have been part of the Weapon X program on these tubes, but the tubes are empty, so there's nothing there. So it leads me to believe they're trying to create some type of clones, and I guess they're hunting down all the old people from Weapon X. So they kind of have to. It looks like they're gonna have to team up together.
Okay, I'm not super familiar with Weapon X as far as because that was a title that ran for a while, right?
I'm not sure if it's ever been a title, but there is like Sabretooth, Wolverine, Deadpool, Captain America. They're all part of that secret soldier, soldier program. So they're trying to restart like an army, and it looks like they're looking for their DNA to rebuild them.
So when you say they, who's they? Who's
All the people that have been part of that program, like Wolverine, Sabretooth, Deadpool,
okay?
people that were built in that Weapon X facility, they're trying to get their DNA to make more soldiers. And like Sabretooth and Wolverine, they don't get along.
Right.
And they're kind of being in a situation where they kind of gotta work together. So it's interesting right there. Like, are they not? Eventually, they're gonna team up to. So they have this common enemy right now.
Interesting, because I mean, most of my era of reading those two characters, they would gut each other before they ever do something together. So, interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's all right so far. They didn't reveal too much story wise, but that seems to be what's going on because just by the picture of the facility, seems like they're trying to restart the Weapon X program.
Right, because that was issue number 1 that came out this week, right?
Yeah, that was the first issue, so it's barely introducing what players are gonna be in the story.
Cool.
I didn't even know that Domino, I think, is a part of Weapon X because one of the things, the containers had her name.
Jay, question for you on that too. I borrowed that from a friend as well. I haven't read it yet. It's in my bag out in the living room. Lady Deathstrike, I'm a huge fan of the fact that she's on the cover. So how much will I see of her in this issue?
You'll see some of her. She's the first one they've captured.
Okay.
So that's how they find out through, like, oh, she's missing. So they find out, wait, they're hunting us all down.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to read it. It's fun.
Yeah, it's all right. It's not bad so far.
Cool.
I like that character.
Yep.
Cool. May have to do some hunting to get some comic books that aren't on my order. So cool.
There you go.
Cool. Alrighty. Marvel news or anything like that? I can't think of anything. I mean, last week was dominated by the stuff we already talked about, and that's kind of, I'm sure Marvel's thinking right now, thank God there's no news right now, kind of a thing. So
They need a quiet week. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys know when the Generation Next title comes out?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's one I wanna pick up too. Is Generation X.
On the promotions surrounding that too, it looks like it's a healthy mix of some of those new students and then some of the ones from the previous. Is that fair? Or because I saw like what Chamber was on there.
But Generation X was kind of like basically New Mutants. They just changed the name.
Yeah.
Like where they introduced. That's where they introduced new characters.
I think it'll be cool. I'm excited for that too, though.
Cool. Right on. Alrighty. Well, with no news or anything else, let's roll on to those independent books. That way, Rez can talk. She can talk for an hour now. Her entire poll is pretty much.
We are in her world now.
Right.
Yes.
So, Rez, what do you want to talk first, Rez?
Let's see. I really, I want to talk to you about this one. I know you had this one. This one was God Shaper.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. I like your cover, the guitar cover.
Isn't that fun? I love it.
It started off pretty good. Like, it had like right off the bat, we had this premise where apparently everyone has a god. Like, everyone has a god except the select few that are God Shapers that are able to actually, I guess, tweak and turn these gods into, I guess, other things, or kind of tweak them to have other abilities for people. And so the God Shapers themselves are not able to have a god attached to them, even though gods are supposed to be for everyone. Everyone's supposed to have a god. But this particular God Shaper is apparently like a beatnik of some sorts. It's a God Shaper, and he's being followed by a ghost god that was, I guess, attached to someone else. And they ran into like a armless vet who was dishonorably discharged and is trying to bring down this one guy in town. But that's pretty much what I got from it. But I feel like I'm missing something. Right around the end, when they after he was, or she got caught in the club doing their whole thing, the gig, and the vet was telling her whole plan to him. I was kind of like, okay, well, what's going on from here? Like, the very end kind of was very abrupt, considering the whole story seemed very linear and very, normal paced, but then it just sped up so quickly. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? So for me, it seemed like an okay issue. I want to see what issue 2 brings me, but I'm kind of curious about what you guys think.
You want to go ahead first, or you want me to?
I'll jump in. The one thing I'm first of all, I completely agree with that review. I was like, interesting concept, very visual, very fun, very interpretive. The one panel, I'm a softie, you guys. So when we see the vet's god getting bit up and attacked and mauled and everything, I was just like, I had an attachment to that green horse-like creature, which now is a miniature version of that because of that. Right. But it's such a interesting, but I mean, the first half of it, I was like, what am I doing right now? Like, I don't know, because it's not, Marvel or DC, but I actually did get a kick out of it. It's an interesting concept. And after getting to the last half, I could probably rock with like issue 2 and see how it treats me for sure. And again, I agree with you. The cover is super cute. It reminds me of Jack Skellington. Yeah. So it makes me really happy.
Yeah. So it's horrible. It gives you flashbacks to your Pokemon being beat up. Is that is that fair? Yeah. We see your little godling. So so we got the, like let's say we got this world. Well, our world, 1958. In 1958, man suddenly lost the ability to use electricity, to use mechanics, to do all kinds of stuff. Instead, each person gets their own personal little, deity, little god. For whatever reason, that's what they call them. It's some powerful entity, and as you gain in power financially or whatnot, and money's transferred through these things, they have their own special abilities and all that kind of stuff. And if you don't have one, you have no currency. So our main character is basically the equivalent of kind of a panhandler, hobo-ish kind of a person who they all think he's dirty because he doesn't have a godling, but of course they all want to use him because he can, make their, godling, instead of looking like, a snake, can turn it into a cute puppy dog if they wanted it or whatever. He has that ability, but they can't pay him the money. They trade in whatever else the person might need and whatnot. For me, that's all kind of an interesting concept. Like, okay, where's this going to go? Because he's got his friend here, Bud. And Bud seems to be a godling that isn't attached to a person. Supposedly, if the human dies, the godling will wander around for a little bit, and then it supposedly dies off too. For whatever reason, this one doesn't. Mystery for that. And that was all great. Of course, then we get this whole, completely other plot line going on where he's this kind of rockabilly. Most like it's almost like a commentary on pop music. Oh, current pop music, it's all synthesizers and auto tuning and all that. They use their godlings to help them create music, and he's a catechin or whatever they're calling him. He's real. He's the real thing. He's raw and whatever, right? I love some of the artwork in there. That panel where he's walking through the bar, where it's a 2-page spread. And he's kind of traveling through the bar, talking to all the people, kind of schmoozing everybody. And I thought that was great artwork there and stuff. But to me, that felt like it was a whole different story, almost. Then we get to the end of it, after we find out about this vet who's missing an arm, who we find out got basically screwed. She was in charge of the warehouse, the military warehouse. Somebody robs the warehouse. She gets blamed, and they basically dishonorable discharge, beat the hell out of her. She loses an arm. All kinds of horrible stuff happens. Like John was saying, her godling goes from being a 7-foot tall, green, Puff the Magic Dragon seahorse down to this tiny little thing. And she wants to get revenge on that guy, this guy that they shaped stuff with. Then we get this whole other kind of story about justice. Let's get this whole big heavy dialogue about, justice and the interpretation of justice. And at the very end, instead of taking him to the police because they can't afford police, they're doing this special call out. The other godlings that are around will all gather together and they'll attack this guy and beat him down, supposed justice. Of course, this guy is super rich, which means his god is like 10 foot tall and has all kinds of powers, and it looks like it's gonna just tear them all up until this guy comes back to us. So for me, there's interesting parts, but it feels like there's way too much in the first issue. Like they're trying to tackle more than one subject. Okay, write a comic book about the godling thing, write a different comic book about the music thing or whatever, because I don't see how the two are going to connect to each other. We spent a lot of time on the music. We spent like 3 or 4 pages on the music stuff for that not to be something going forward. But it feels like this is going to be more about this whole justice thing at the end of it, as he basically turns Bud into a giant blow-up mitt that he wears on one hand, and he starts laying the smack down on the god. So Rez, I'm with you guys with the fact that it feels kind of broken, maybe, or scattered. For me anyway, it does. It's like there's too many different stories going on. I don't know. I'm gonna get the next issue. I'm curious to see what's going on. I think I believe it's a mini series. I don't think it's gonna go, more than 4 or 6 issues. I don't think, but I don't know. It's.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of, after reading this first issue, I thought to myself, I kind of wish I didn't order all the way up until, was it issue 3 already? We have ordered already?
Right.
I was like, man, because first issue was, I mean, like 3/4 of the book was okay. It was pretty good. It was enjoyable. But then it went downhill once the music got introduced. And then they started talking about her revenge plot. I thought it was just too much. And I honestly, I have to say, it took me longer to read this book than in all my other books, because I zoned out once she came in the picture. I zoned out. I was like, who cares? Like, just like he was saying, he was like, who cares? Who cares? No one cares. I was like, yeah, no one cares. No one cares. That's how I felt. I just wanted to know about this God Shaper and what, and more about them, because I was feeling sorry for the guy. Like, he's to have a god. Everyone else has one. And I want to know more why he couldn't have one, more about the semantics and the logic behind that, I guess the story behind that. But we didn't learn that. We just learned that he was into music, or he or she was into music, and that now she's approached by this veteran who wants to revenge. Like, who cares? I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most interesting read this week. Or maybe I'm just being a little too hard on it. I don't know.
No, I think it's fair. I think it's definitely fair criticism.
Yeah.
So
I have the same.
Because like I said, for me, it felt like there's 2 separate different stories going on there, and I don't know how they're gonna match those up. I don't know. It's like the writer had all these things he wants to say, and I'm gonna put it all in one book because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to put it in 3 books, kind of a thing or something. So yeah. Alrighty. That was a Boom Studio book. I want to talk another Boom Studio book. Grass Kings, issue number 2, with the thickest cardstock cover ever.
And then the thinnest guts ever, right? Because this is my shortest book.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you can hear that. Probably can't hear the like this stuff. This is like. So you had that Boom Studio book, right, John? It's got a pretty decent thick cover, right?
My cover.
This one's like 3 times as thick as that one is. So it's and not to pick on Marvel, but it's really funny when you pick this up and read it, and then the next book you pick up is like my Power Man and Iron Fist, where the cover is like paper thin, kind of a thing. But man, the production of this is crazy, and it's a $3.99 book, just like the Marvel book is. It just kind of, amazing. First and foremost, that it's built this well. So, I'm still really enjoying this issue. The art felt looser in this issue to me than the last issue. I'm still enjoying it. It's this ink and watercolor, kind of an art kind of a thing. Sometimes minimal background, kind of a deal. For me, it's largely the art is functional to move the story forward while telling me, while the characters, what the characters having their discussions about what's going on, and that sort of thing. So this issue, we get more of that girl that showed up on the shore from the last issue. Who is she? We still don't know. We get a little more about the sheriff in Cargill, the town next door that's, he's got a serious heart on. He wants to go into the Grass King place and get rid of all of them and take them all out, as they got their own little private little country there. He knows there's hiding murderers there, and they're using this missing girl as an excuse to go in, but that's not enough of an excuse. So they end up, basically the sheriff basically hires some guy called Big Tom or something like that to go over there and really stir up trouble. And it looks like by the end of the issue, stir up trouble is shooting somebody is what it looks like. So even the law enforcement officers that are supposed to be the real law enforcement officers seem like they're criminals too, right? Are we going to find out that the people in the grasslands are actually the good people living in their own little country? What do you think, Russ?
I like this issue. I mean, it kind of gives us more of an idea of who that one kind of meddlesome kid is, and who's behind this force. Why they're. I mean, we still know why exactly they're trying to take the Grass Kingdom, but we know that there's obviously somebody trying to usurp him and get in there. And I think that girl's a murderer, right? That's the murderer they're referring to.
I don't know. I don't know if she's a murderer, because in the first issue, remember on the sheriff's wall, he had like missing girl posters up. So I don't know if
well, that guy, he thinks that his daughter, maybe, because you remember he was saying it to her, he kept calling, and she was wide awake, pretending like she was asleep. But I thought that they were alluding to her being the murderer, possibly, behind the walls, and that's why they're trying to get over there to the Grass Kingdom.
Could be. I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of a hopefully that's the unfolding mystery part, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed the issue. I think I like the first issue better. But I'm still curious to see what happens. I just like the way they introduced the characters in the first issue. This kind of tour of this little town as they're driving this guy through town and getting ready to kick him out and whatnot. I don't know. We'll see. I know this isn't going to go on very long either. This is a short series, I believe.
Something like that, 4 or 6.
Yeah.
Boom is 4 issues.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I think I liked issue 1 better though. But I'm still just like crazy about the production value of this book. Just blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, issue 1 was good, but I liked seeing how this guy talked more, the Grass King. I liked seeing him talk. And recall what happened with the daughter, and how how his father, he was explaining how his father told him that he was talking to me. What was he trying to? He was explaining to the girl that, hey, when my father was alive and he was talking to me, he always said that if you rely on one thing, and it's ripped away, the foundation can be unsteady. I mean, I like that little conversation.
Oh yeah, and definitely there's some good dialogue in there. Some good
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
It just alluded to the fact that the Grass King obviously is still about he still has some wit to him. So he's not as crazy as everyone thinks he is. That's why,
Yeah, I mean, clearly he has some issues, but supposedly he's getting, better maybe. Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, what else?
Me?
Yeah, or John. John's sitting on one more too. So whichever. Go ahead, Russ.
Okay. Even though I wasn't gonna read this, I read Motor Crush issue number 5.
Okay.
I dropped this. I thought I dropped it after issue 3, and I thought I was gonna probably receive 4. But yeah, this issue wasn't too bad. We learned more about Domino, where she came from. Apparently, because I don't believe I even read issue 4, but she finds out the origins of where she came from. Apparently she's a baby who actually thrives on taking the Crush drug, and taking this drug allows her to speed through life. And this one mysterious character has been trying to track down her father and kill her father, which we find out is not actually her father. It's just a man who found her somewhere. But she's trying to kill off her father, trying to get her by any means possible. And she finally gets this little machine, triangle thing, prism, finally catches up to her and tells her, "Hey, I want you." And she's like, "Well," she said, "Well, if you want me, you're gonna have to catch me." And she takes like a whole handful of crush and just like literally speeds to I guess the garage where her father works. And she comes to see that the garage is not a garage anymore. It's like a boathouse. And she walks in, and Lola looks at her like, with tears in her eyes, and she's like, what's going on, Lola? Why are you crying? And she's like, I was only gone for a few hours. And she's like, Domino, you've been gone for 2 years. We thought you were dead.
Whoa. So a 2-year jump in the book?
Yeah. Well, no. She sped. It's going to be a 2-year jump, but she sped.
Wow.
Crush. She ran off. But when she ran off, it made her run so fast that she went through time.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like,
crazy.
What?
Yeah. So for people who don't know, who aren't reading the book, and then issue 4 was the last issue that I got because it just couldn't. Crush is literally like a engine additive. You like put it in your gas tank of your vehicle to like give your vehicle that like octane boost, like you see on Road Warrior, where he flips the switch and it hits the hydrogen and blasts him off. But this is a girl who can like literally consume this engine boost stuff. So
yeah.
Wild that they jumped. Yeah. That's interesting.
It's pretty interesting. Like I honestly kind of feel bad about dropping it because I'm like, it's not bad. It's not bad. It wasn't bad. Yeah. I mean, like I didn't know she was adopted. I didn't know that father was hiding this from her, and his brother died trying to protect her. And he she was found with that little inhaler next to her. Mm-hmm. So he's known this whole time that she was able to thrive by taking this drug, Crush. And he made it seem as if he wasn't okay with that, but this whole time she was supposed to take it in order to stay alive and be well.
So is this our lesson? You got to give a book 6 issues before you drop it. Is that?
Yeah, I guess you got to give it 5.
I don't know. That's awful expensive.
I know, right?
Yeah. Kind of interesting. Huh, cool. Okay, John, what's the other book you got?
Oh boy. Well, this one's a mix one, Rez. I don't know what you're gonna think of me after this, but I'm doing this because it's also a lifestyle choice. And what I'm referring to, I'm really sheepish about reviewing this one at all because it's not stellar. I'm going to be frank. It's fun, but it's not. And I'm talking Dungeons and Dragons Frost Giants Fury issue 2. I recently have started playing D&D here as of last fall, and I love it. I do 2 games, and so I know comics have existed or whatever, but I was like, hey, it's on the shelves. Let's give it a shot. First issue was fun. And then second issue, it was fun. It's really hard for me to latch onto these characters like I do in the big 2 because I have the characters in my campaign that I'm so used to. So I'm kind of spoiled in that regard. I'm 100% mixed on this one, so I can't give it a rating. I'm watching the live chat right now because there's some cool feedback going here. But if anyone has any input on that, I don't know. Man. Oh, of course, Sergeant America.
Like Sergeant America does.
Oh, stop. But I don't know. Like this, I don't even know if this qualifies as an indie book. Riz is probably like, "What are you talking about?"
Sure it does. Indie, we pretty much list anything as indie that's not DC or Marvel proper is an indie book. It's not your standard run of the mill whatever kind of thing.
So that's cool.
I almost grabbed that because I've been wanting to get into D&D myself.
Okay.
And of course, this isn't the classic characters from the from the cartoon of the 80s, right?
Right. Okay. So it's its own thing, and I can't give it a rating because I still don't know how I feel about it because it's not my adventure that I'm having in the game. So
sure. Well, that's cool. Right on. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna talk. Hell in a Crash.
Oh God, yes. Sweet. I got a different cover than you.
Yeah. You have the cover B, right? Yeah. I don't know. This is one of those comics. It's just fun. I love the art style. It strikes me as if you took I don't know, like a 10 to 13-year-old and they had their art style, and somehow it's advanced, but it stayed the same at the same time. So it just, I don't know, it just has this really kind of cool, people are kind of, triangles, longer legs than what they should and whatnot. And I as far as the art, visually, this book just tickles me because of how kind of nutty it is. There's all kinds of aliens. So there's people who are half, critter running around and stuff. And our main character, Helena, her job is she's a courier basically, and she transports illegal things. Normally she runs coffee because in this world coffee is illegal.
Couldn't have that happen.
Yeah, right. That's pretty crazy. So that's normally what she runs. She normally runs coffee. In this case, she gets hired by what the heck was the person's the White Demon, right? Gets hired by the White Demon to find a VH tape. And this is set in the future. So, I mean, you know how hard it is to find a VH tape now, let alone in the future. And she's hired to track down this VH tape of a movie of the same title, this White Demon, which she does. And of course, she's kind of like in between two gangs.
That's for our live chat.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. I just really I love the vibe of it. It's just kind of crazy, this romp. I mean, the end of this issue ends with them kind of like everybody pulling swords at each other, like it's going to be a big old brawl. I don't know. I think it's fun. I mean, if I really heavily thought about the premise around like why is coffee illegal? I mean, I know it's rare. They mention it's rare in the first issue, but they don't say just because it's rare, that doesn't mean it should be illegal. They don't say why that's the case. So, I mean, if I wanted to nitpick that as, but I mean, it's more kind of like more along the Road Warrior kind of a vibe. It doesn't have to make sense. It's just kind of a fun, craziness. But
awesome.
I dig it.
I've been loving this series. I don't know why I accidentally almost got it mixed up with Once the Future Queen that Dark Horse released, but I think it's because the illustration styles are kind of like wacky crazy. But I love this series. It's so awesome. I love it. It's very actiony, and I know there's something else I've read by Rangel. I don't know why, I can't remember what it is, but this reminds me a lot of Sex Castle and how action heavy it is, and how 80s dialogue it is as well.
Right.
It just feels tropey, but in a good way. It feels tropey, but in a good way.
Right. I mean, I don't think there's a single page in here probably where somebody isn't punching somebody else or sharpening a knife or loading a gun or whatever. Like I said, there's this gorilla guy, right? And I love his shirt. His shirt's got a big old gorilla on it too. I mean, I don't know. There's just something funny about that. Yeah, I just, like I said, it's just kind of all kinds of crazy and fun. So, the whole, like I said, the whole, oh my gosh, coffee's illegal. That's just,
I laughed when I saw that too.
Yeah.
Her boss is somebody he's a gym owner, and he does in the back of the gym. So like where you would see usually someone doing that with hydroponics or something like that. It said it's coffee beans.
It's coffee, right? Instead of vegetables or marijuana. Yes, it's coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool. What else, Rez? What else you want to talk about?
Ooh, let's see. I know you read this one. Copperhead.
Oh yeah.
Number 12.
Yes.
I like this. I was gonna pull this one out first, but I'll save it for later. I like this one. I like seeing our sheriff tell Boo. Is it Boo?
Yeah, it's Boo.
Okay. Yeah. tell Boo off. When he was trying to get really sassy with her, wasn't he? Telling her, well, what is it? You don't like it that I'm in charge of you now? And she was like, I don't have time for this. She just keeps trying to shoo him off, and at the same time trying to, get her boyfriend out of the mix because he keeps trying to come at her and doubt everything she's saying. And then we have this one coroner who finds a worm and a tooth stuck in this guy's body, the old mayor's body. And while this is happening, she's trying to, she's talking to this one guy, this criminal. I guess he's a career criminal. She talks to him and she says, hey, can you watch out for my son? Like, watch out for him because my ex-husband, his father, has broken out of prison, and I think he's headed this way next, which he is. Apparently, him and his new girlfriend, they are getting into a little trouble themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They ran out of credit, or she personally ran out of credit. So it's just a whole bunch of crazy situations going on. There was one scene in here, in a panel here, where when the sheriff was asking that one career criminal guy, her friend, her I guess her inside guy, she's asking him, just for that favor to watch out for her son. When he said he didn't really pry into why she needed the help. He's like, we all have our privacy. We all have our reasons why. There was this dead thing behind the rocks. And I was like, whoa, what's that? Did he just kill somebody before they had their interaction?
Yeah, see, he's that character is a race of people that was genetically created specifically for a war that happened. That's ended when this comic starts out. Because basically it was the equivalent of a civil war, except it was between a few races. Boo was on one side and the humans were on the other side, and they had these genetically created killers. So that's nobody wants these guys anywhere near them, because they don't know how to do anything else as far as most people are concerned. They're just these black guys that walk around that can actually stealth themselves, become somewhat invisible like the Predator, and murder people. So that's why he lives out in the middle of nowhere, kind of a thing. And he's always shooting something. Every time we find him out in the backwoods, he's always killed off some other critter or what. I don't think that's a person. I think that's just some animal that he has recently.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was like an alien or some sort, because there's all kinds of things running around here. But I thought that was really funny how they made sure to let us know that he just killed something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed this issue. I did enjoy the previous issue a little bit more. Because that was a really huge hit when we found out that Boo became mayor. It was like scheming going on in previous issue, which really made it feel like this is like a good book. Now I see why I'm jumping back into it. But this issue for me, it was more kind of it kind of lulled on a little bit, and towards the end when she decides to quit, when Boo starts getting kind of
interface.
Telling her he wants to report now, and she says, well, you know what, take your report and put it up. The sun don't shine.
I actually really like this issue just because of all the pressure that's being put on the sheriff, right? So the mayor's been murdered. We find out the doctor does an autopsy, pulls this basically worm out of him. It's got big gnarly teeth that he has to chase around the office and try to kill. It looks like it's kind of like very Alien-esque, where the first Alien, the movie where they're like, check it out, and the chest starts, then boom, the thing comes blasting out. This worm comes out. So they're trying to figure out, is the worm the weapon? Did the worm just crawl in there? How does this work? They're trying to figure that out. So she's got a murder to figure out. The dead mayor, her deputy is now the new mayor and is her boss, and she's never really treated her deputy very well. I mean, she hasn't been horrible to him, but they clearly have a beef with each other because Boo wanted to be sheriff. Boo thought he should have been sheriff because he's been deputy all this time, and then to have this new woman come in and kind of basically screw him out of the job. Now he's her boss. There's all that tension put on her. Some ex-lover has shown up. An older man who's kind of bossy and clearly was really controlling when they were in a relationship. He's shown up. He keeps saying, oh, no, I know we're not in a relationship anymore, but he's trying to act like he was in a relationship. He bought the kid, her kid, a toy and all this kind of stuff.
To help too.
Right. Plus her crazy ex-husband, who's clearly an extremely dangerous person, is broken out of prison and is supposedly on her way to the planet also. So she has all this crazy crap coming down her, and by the end of it, she's just sick of it. So she's not even going to put up with Boo's crap at the end of it, and she loses it. So I don't know. I really liked it. I liked all that kind of tension, all the stuff that's going on with her. I mean, I expect her to go to the bar and get totally lit, and then even worse stuff happen is what I expect to happen after that. Right?
I love it now.
Yeah.
I love this issue now.
Yeah. I still miss the original artist on it. Godsleen was really, really great. This artist is fine. I think that I still have issues with the fact that there's some panels in here where there's not much really a background, and it's like a picture of somebody's face, and the face is like too small and off to one side, and then there's all this empty space. I don't understand why you do that. If you're gonna do close up on someone's face, do a close up on their face. Don't I don't know, cheat backwards and whatnot. I guess is my only complaint with the art. I wish it was that we had the old artists.
Yeah, I would say I appreciate the older art better.
Yeah, but still, I still enjoy it. I'm happy to have Copperhead. Really fun book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you happen to read American Gods issue 2?
Yes. I got the same cover as you too.
Yeah, the David Mack cover. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's about time I had got me another David Mack cover. The first one I got I got the original one. That's one.
Right. Yeah. I'm still story's interesting. It's a Neil Gaiman book, and it kind of follows that largely. So I enjoy that aspect of it. I still think the art is static. I mean, it does not have any life to it at all. It feels like it's I took a bunch of snapshots and then re-rendered that to art. I don't know. I'm kind of pulled on it. So
my problem is that I'm a huge fan of Pete Craig Russell's art, especially with Coraline. And then I look at this and I would never think that it was the same person. That's my problem. My problem is that I've been a fan of Pete Craig Russell because that's usually the illustrator that Neil Gaiman chooses for all of his graphic novels. And so when you're looking at this, you're like, hey,
right. So in this case, what it is P. Craig Russell does the script and he does the layouts, right? So he puts the design down, and the actual art is Scott Hampton. Hampton is the guy who's actually physically doing.
Wow. Okay.
It's actually physically doing the art. So I mean, so Russell's basically creating the page and say this is kind of what it should look like, and then Hampton's doing the actual art. So
this is okay. Now I have an even bigger problem because I thought it was because I said corrected. But my other issue was that I thought P. Craig Russell was doing this, and I was like, this is not P. Craig Russell. So now we have a revelation here.
Yeah. So like I said, I dig the story in itself because it is a good story. It's cool. The characters are cool. It's a fascinating kind of a thing. But with this, I'm inclined to go read the novel again as opposed to the comic. But I'm gonna keep getting it because the disembodied voice, my other half, likes it. So I'm gonna keep buying it.
Honestly, I wasn't super impressed with this issue per se. It was just a lot of talking. Mm-hmm. And I was waiting for it to get over with so I can read the end. That little.
There was no end.
Yeah.
There was no backstory. Yeah, the backstory in the first issue was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I was waiting for that. I was like, I'm gonna see more Vagina Goddess. Like
that's right.
Yeah, where is
more of her eating people? Yeah.
No, it was not. It was nothing. There's one who was a huge, gigantic leprechaun guy or self-proclaimed leprechaun, which I don't know if he is leprechaun.
A 7-foot leprechaun. Yeah. Who drinks Southern Comfort? Yeah.
Yes, who drinks Southern Comfort and does coin tricks with gold.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, what else?
Let's talk about 7 to Eternity by Rick Remender.
Eternity. I don't know why I forgot you read this too. Yeah. Issue 5.
Yeah, issue number 5. There were some moments during this sequence where we had that one daughter,
Penelope. Uh-huh.
So what is her significance? Because I skipped the issue or two, and I don't know who Penelope is. I didn't know I didn't know that she was an adversary of some sort to this group.
She's one of Gil's daughters. Gil is the head evil guy that they're trying to haul across the country to shut down.
The Mud
King.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought his name was. I didn't know his name was Gil. I thought that was Mud King.
I think here it's like Gil or Gills. I think is what he's called or something like that. Besides being the Mud King.
She totally died.
Oh yeah. She attacks him. She's got this really interesting power. She tinkles a little bell, and you hallucinate all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But they end up even with their hallucinations, they end up kind of crashing the wagon that they're on because they're riding along a giant cliff, and she falls off the cliff, kind of a thing. I mean, interesting. The character's there and gone. You know, they kind of introduce you, think she's going to be this kind of serious pain in the ass, and then she gets wrecked. I mean, they're all hanging off the side of the cliff. They get off the wagon, and the wagon goes off the cliff along with her, and she's yelling the whole way down that their dad's going to save her, kind of a thing. So
yeah, so it's kind of sad though when she yelled that. I was like, oh, poor daddy's girl, you know?
Yeah. The book is really fantasy. I mean, it's got lots of big, fancy names for everybody. They're on a quest. They're dragging this Mud King off to this place where they're going to basically shut down the rest of his power, because he's got a power over everybody. He whispers little secrets in their ears, and then he has control over everything. He can see through everything, and they've kind of shut his eyes down. And there's all kinds of, crazy stuff as far as that goes. I love the book just for the art alone. It's Jeremy Opeña, and it's Jerome Opeña, and it's not Mobius, but it is at the same time. It has that high level, rich, super, lots of detail, lots of line work, there's no background that's just kind of cheated there. There's always stuff going on in it. There's all kinds of weird stuff everywhere. In the background, you'll see like giant squids swimming through the air. It's just really, really cool as far as that kind of a rich fantasy kind of a world. I mean, it's its own thing. So it's not straight up, pull out swords and swashbuckle, but it is definitely high fantasy as far as there's, magic, there's, kind of witches, there's goblin type creatures, weird shape shifting, all kinds of crazy magic type stuff is going on in it. I really like it. It's not super fast moving. But like I said, I really enjoy it. It feels like almost like a modern telling of Lord of the Rings kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Instead of them rushing to throw the ring in the mountain, they got to rush to get the Mud King to this place so they can officially dethrone him. One of the main characters is actually dying. He's got terminal illness, so he's rushing to get this done before he dies, so he can kind of clear his family's name, because his name's kind of cursed, because they turned their back and did not accept the whispers and didn't help anybody who was trapped, and so their family name is all kind of been messed up. So it's I don't know, but I think coming up that it's going to have guest artists. They're going to tell like a side story with the guest artist. So because I'm pretty sure I saw James Heron, who does Rumble, he is like doing an issue or two. So it's like, I think that's giving the main artist a break or giving him time to catch up or something like that. They're going to kind of tell a side story. It's not going to, a new artist isn't taking over this story. It's like, oh, by the way, we're going to tell a story about Penelope or something. And so I got this character, this artist over here, we're going to tell this kind of thing, to kind of keep it from being totally lost. So.
Yeah. I like this issue enough. I'm really interested too in the relationship between this one red girl that Adam met when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they seem to be getting super close now, right. Which I was kind of looking forward to, because I mean they knew each other when they were younger. I thought it was going to be some time before they decided to get together.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's going to be interesting if they actually get together, because he's still married and has kids and stuff like that. So.
Oh well, that does put a hinge in things, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, but clearly there's tension between the two, between the two of them. So, so it'll be, well, I don't know. I guess maybe you're given a pass when you're on your deathbed.
I totally forgot about all that. Yeah, I forgot he had a.
And I don't know, this book, I noticed in the comments that Ryan C is saying that he thought that the book's uneven. It has some good issues and some down issues and whatnot. And maybe it would read better in trade too. I don't know, where you could just sit down and really just read through the thing. But I'm sure it's not just covers. I'm almost positive that I heard that that Heron was doing some of the art. Could be wrong though. Trying to think where I saw that at and why I'm thinking that. So, alrighty. Hellboy the BPRD.
Oh man,
1954 Ghost Moon. What's that?
I don't know why I don't have that one.
You don't?
Yeah, because I didn't drop that one. Not that I know of.
I still really like the art. Brian Chillo on art, awesome art. You know, he's perfect for a Hellboy. You know, just kind of he nails all the kind of character, you know, and mannerisms of Hellboy really well. I have a problem with this issue though, because the story is only 2 issues long, which is fine. Lots of the BPRD stuff and the Magnolia Universe stuff is kind of that way, but in this issue, there is just a lot of information dump. They tell us this whole big long back story about this you know, clan that protects these, you know, magical artifacts in China, and they can't let the the current Chinese government get this stuff, so they're hiding it all and whatnot. It just felt like, you know, this is a comic book. We should be seeing this stuff, not just you know, a bunch of, you know, blocks telling us all that kind of stuff. So I'm a bit frustrated with that. I mean, they could have made this multiple issues, I think, to give us all that kind of story if we really wanted that story, instead of just, you know, there's an old injured guy, and as they're helping him along, he's telling them this big long story, but not showing us this big long story. I mean, it's the comic book, so I get frustrated that it's not showing us that and whatnot. I mean, I agree with Mike. I see in the comments he's saying that Ghostman ended so well. They loved it. It did end. The ending of it's great, because the ending of it kind of leaves this open dangle, like a lot of these kind of stuff does. You think you've taken care of the issue, and after you've walked away, you know, some other thing is, you know, welling up. You can see a story. We may not get back to it. It may be 7, 8, 9 issues of some other story before suddenly these characters that were in this issue, you know, the crop back up out of England. And I like that part of it and whatnot. But like I said, there's this whole part in there where it just feels like we got told a lot of stuff as opposed to shown a lot of stuff. So, yeah. What else you got? I only got 2 more books.
Really, I got 4 total. I read this new Image series called Rose, issue number 1.
How was that?
It was okay. I felt they gave away a lot of this in the preview. You know, like the Image book, the Image magazine that you can get. And I kind of regret reading that, because I felt like reading this, I was given half the book at least.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes it like, because I mean, when I was reading over half of them, I'm like, yeah, I read this already. And give me something new. But I mean, the premise is where we have this one girl, Rose, who, in a world where we have a very evil queen who's ruling over the land, and she is trying to rid the whole entire kingdom of magic. Because at one point there was these cats, and the cats are spelled Khat, that were magical, and they guarded the land. And then they somehow disappeared or got killed off, and all their loyal, I guess, followers that were directly under the cats that were given magic as well, they were being killed off by this tyrannical queen. And so this queen, what she does is she sends her men out to burn villages and burn people alive. And this one girl, Rose, is actually she has magical powers. And she has been raised by her mother to not show those powers, because she would die, you know, if she's found out to have these powers. So, you know, she's grown older. She just hit her 18th birthday. Her mother's gifted her with a rose, a magical rose, to kind of help her suppress her powers so that it won't be discovered. And she goes out to play around and, you know, play around with her magic and stuff like that. And then she decides to go run home and finds her whole village burned down to the ground. Her mother is dying. And she runs to the woods and runs to these people that know more about the history of these cats, and they can kind of help lead her to who burned down her village, because she doesn't know really what's going on, why this happened. But we kind of get background on this queen, this tyrannical queen, and we see that it's a woman, and that she killed her own father and took over the kingdom. So it's very medieval-ish kind of. I don't know, when I started reading it, I kind of started thinking of Once Upon a Time, but not just a little bit less magic, you know. I likened the queen to the queen and, you know, Once Upon a Time kind of, and maybe Rose being somewhat Snow White-ish. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't really feel super original in some ways, although I believe it is, because I haven't read anything similar to this. But I don't know. I'll get it for a few more issues and see if it picks up.
Yeah, I avoided it because it's written by Meredith Finch, and
Yeah.
my only other experience of reading her stuff was when she took over Wonder Woman from the New 52, and it was so horrifically awful that I very much went, nah, I'm not touching anything that she's writing. So if it wasn't that bad, I mean, that's good. I'm happy that she's figured out how to do something. But man, that's the stuff that I was the couple issues that I read of Wonder Woman was really, really, really hard to read. So I just saved myself the pain of reading that. And if I have any inkling at all that that I might be interested in a book, I try really hard not to read previews, because that always bugs me too. After you've read 5 or 6 pages of whatever it is, then you get the actual comic and you're like, oh, I've already read this, come on, kind of thing. So yeah.
That's exactly what happened. So now I kind of feel like, I guess I wasn't as enthusiastic as I once was, because I thought honestly they would have had maybe a little bit bigger and had more things going on, but I just felt like I read it before. Maybe that's why it didn't feel new to me, because I read it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Wicked and Divine, issue 28. I'm still really enjoying the book. I won't go into large detail on it. It's hard to explain kind of what's going on if you aren't, in on the book. I just love the fact that they do a really good job of touching back to stuff that happened like in issue 1 and 2 and 3 kind of stuff. And I was going to kick out of that when you're kind of rewarded for, the whole long read, with it dipping back into stuff that's been shown before. I really like that. In this issue, there's all kinds of blood and guts and nakedness in it, all at the same time. So there's because one of the characters is kind of a cat deity, and she has lots of impulse control issues and stuff. And she finds out in this issue that she's been lied to by everybody. And it's not that she's been lied to. She feels embarrassed and like that people were laughing at her. And she pretty much loses her cool and just mows everybody down. Like she sees red, the panels go red. And then it's her a couple panels later wiping her face. I mean, it's like an orgy kind of thing going on. She's wiping her face off, wiping blood off of her face. And there's all these bodies and they all have their throats spit out and stuff. It's just really... And she's supposed to be one of the good guys. So,
oh goodness,
yeah, it's some of the gods are getting really out of control, kind of stuff. But like I said, I find it really interesting though. All kinds of stuff in here. That I don't know, it's really interesting. It's a good piece of pop culture. I think it kind of winks and nods at popular music and things that are going on in our society right now and stuff. Just I love for all those aspects too. So continues to be good stuff. And I think this was the end of an arc. So now I've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 months before the book comes back again. So what else do you want to talk about, Russ?
I love this issue of Red Line, issue number 2. This was crazy. There was one panel, well, a few panels where they, I don't know if I can show it on here, but kind of crazy. There was a guy who blew himself up, and all those left was his member.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, and it's so crazy. I just flipped through it and I saw it. And they just kept joking about it throughout. It's like this reminds me of like when I was in the service and we'd be, all the guys, it just gets really dirty and guys joke and stuff. And so throughout this whole book you have that same kind of humor where it's dirty dick jokes all around and stuff like that. And they just keep joking about this man Dong just surviving him blowing himself up. And we didn't really go into from the last issue where this guy was trying to prove that these aliens are not as malicious as people think. We didn't even broach that subject for some reason in this issue. We just kind of teeter along these guys, this guy Coyle and this guy Peck, being he's escorting a peck of himself, a pecker or whatever, and going to different places trying to find out the significance of this one necklace that the guy Coyle has been dreaming about, and trying to figure out the background of it, and I guess trying to see where the story goes from there. It's not really a lot going on. It was just a lot of jokes and just funny stuff going on. I liked it. I just like the humor in it. So it kind of takes your mind off of the not being much of a plot there, you know.
Mhm.
And it's nudity and it's crazy. It's just really crazy. I like it. I don't know what else to say about it, you know.
So we know how to sell a book to Rez.
Yeah.
Dirty
awesome.
jokes, sickness, and dismembered members. All right.
That's crazy.
Cool. So my last book this week is Rock Stars. This is issue number 5. End of an arc. We kind of, we don't get a whole bunch of answers, but we find out for sure that our main character, he is special. Somehow he can connect all the mythology of rock and roll and make sense of it and see what's going to happen and see the hidden stuff behind the veils of the Led Zeppelin stuff and the Mud Shark stuff and you know, the you know, Pink Floyd's matching up with Wizard of Oz and all this different stuff is all kind of thrown into this book, and this kid Jackie can kind of see it all or somehow, and he kind of gets rescued / hired by a guy who I really think is the devil. They haven't really said that, but it just strikes me as, you know, because there's so many rock and roll legends of the, you know, the blues singer going down to the crossroads and basically selling his soul so he can play, you know, music better and whatnot. They've kind of shown this guy with marginally having fangs occasionally. I don't know. I just get the impression that he is kind of in control. He always talks about they're playing the game. You know, he has this like secret house that's got all this rock and roll paraphernalia in it that doesn't actually exist. Like there's an album between Led Zeppelin 4 and Houses of the Holy. It's an album that, you know, technically doesn't exist, but he owns it. It's all stuff that they did that they just never released or whatever. All this kind of really cool stuff. And I'll be the first to admit that I really love the comic just because I really love music. Is my second love beyond comic books, and I just love the fact this is a kind of a mashing of those two things and all this to kind of all the crazy stuff about you know, about music, you know, the 27 Club, where all these, you know, artists that die at age 27, just all that kind of stuff gets folded into this comic, and I just think it's really fun for that. I'm not really familiar with any other of Megan Hutchinson's artwork. I really like her artwork. In this book, she kind of matches the kind of trippiness of all those aspects really well. Also, they say the book's coming back. I don't know a whole lot of other people that are reading it, but you know, they say they're going to take a break, and they're supposedly going to be back in August with the next, you know, with issue 6 and the next arc of whatever that they're going to do. So I'll be curious to see what that all ends up being. I mean, there's even references in here to the, you know, the day that rock and roll died, the, you know, the Buddy Holly and that airplane when it crashed and took everybody out, and some stuff that's responsible for that and whatnot too. And that's, like I said, I just get a kick out of all that kind of thing. So, you know, not saying it's the best book in the world, but I get a real kick out of it because of my biases. And that's my books for this week. Rez, what else you got? Anything else you want to talk about?
I read 2 Scout comics. One is Solar Flare. It wasn't really anything that was intriguing like I thought. I was really anticipating this. It was one of my first books that I picked up and read on the pile, and it wasn't good. It was just boring. And Little Guardians, I read issue 0, was it last month, and now this is issue 1. And I really enjoyed this. It's very cute. It's you know, we have this one guy who's designated as the guardian of a town, and you know, he protects the town by any means necessary. He has little orbs. One is designated for the child, the offspring, which would usually be his son. And then he has one himself, and it's, I guess, a spirit animal is trapped within this orb, and he lets it loose, and it's kind of like Pokemon or something, I guess. It helps him defeat, you know, any kind of anything coming at him in the town. So, and the very first issue, which was issue 0, we learned that this guardian was him and his wife were having a child, and apparently the doctor and the nurse switched his child out with from being, you know, the child is a girl, was born a girl. So, you know, apparently, according to the mythology of being a guardian, the guardianship cannot be passed down to a female. It has to be a male. So they switched his little girl with another family and gave him another person's son that was being born and gave him that son. So he's trying to train this son. This son doesn't have what it takes to be a guardian, really. And the girl is being raised by the shop owner and being treated like crap, but she's really the actual true next guardian. When, you know, so I imagine maybe somewhere down the line we're gonna find out, or she's gonna discover that she is the true guardian or next true guardian. But so far it's just really cute seeing the characters and how they communicate, and seeing one lovely nurse and how she was incorporated into the story. Yeah, it's very cute, very nice to read to children too.
Yeah. And what company was that book by?
Scout Comics.
Now I wonder how kids get a hold of a book like that.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I'm sure that's not just, you don't walk into your random comic book store and it's sitting on the shelf, I would guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. You like get to dig for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But it definitely reminded me of that book that who was it that released it? It's been recent. It's still kind of out right now, called Deep.
Right.
No, it is the same feel to it. So definitely, I don't think it's marketed towards kids, but it is very kid-esque.
Okay.
You know? Younger audience.
Yeah. Needs to be more books for that audience.
Yeah.
Get them hooked early, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. Anything else? Any news? Any other things? Any pressing? Whatever else we want to talk about while we're here? No.
You know what? I want to. Did you finish the 13 ways? 13 reasons why. 13 reasons why.
I have not. I have not.
Okay, I finished it. Okay.
I'll let you know when I have it done.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. I can't think of anything. I can't think of like any independent-y kind of news, any that I can think of, wise and whatnot. Just to pick on John because he's here and he's not here. He's not here very often. So when you read books like the independent books that you read this week and whatnot, does it kind of go? You go, hey, yeah, this is why I don't read independent books, because
it's interesting because it's a grab bag, and I think that's part of the thrill of buying from Boom or an Image, is that you're either going to really like it, you're going to kind of like it, or you're not going to go for it again. And I found gems that I absolutely do love. I don't know, like for me, again, I read more for the characters, and I have to limit, as you can see behind me, that's one fleet of long boxes, and then I have another one over here, and they're all pretty much at capacity right now. So the polite thing to do for my long boxes is to slow my roll. If I did do more indie, Mike's watching, I'm sure, and I'd probably have to look at digital, and he's never going to let me hear the end of that for saying that. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just for space, just because of who I am as a reader. Like, you know, I'm not as diehard Image or any of the sort. Now, Boom Studios, of course, did give me the love of my year, which was the Power Rangers series, which was fun.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. But yeah, I mean, truthfully, I promise I'm not just a Major 2 zombie, just mostly.
Oh no, that's cool. Everybody's got their own, whatever, and that's what they want to read and collect, and that's cool. For you, it's the characters. In some ways, that's great, because then you know what you're getting. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not, if nothing else, even if it's not the best story, if it's a character you love, you're still gonna at least get that out of it. And I totally understand that. There's books that I get regardless. It doesn't matter how big of a train wreck it can be for whatever. I get it anyway, kind of a thing, and I enjoy it for the character. Totally understand that and whatnot. I think largely, I mean, not to talk for Rez, but I think to some degree, she reads the superhero books that she reads just because there's enough of us that read superheroes that to have that conversation, she picks up some of the books. Because as we can always see for Rez's poll, if you ever watch watch her unboxing videos when she gets her books every week, and on here, the lion's share of what she gets is that, unknown to largely the rest of us, books and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, and that's cool. It's cool that there's a lot of different kind of stuff out there. It would be unfortunate if we all just wanted to read the exact same thing. Yeah. I think so. So no, that's cool. It's cool.
And one of the interesting twists to that too is that like when I travel or I go to comic cons or whatever, an example is our comic shop opened a Lincoln, Nebraska location, so just 3 hours south, and I was there and they had Omaha local comics for sale, and I bought every single issue, and my intent is to read them and then network with the creators on Twitter and do like a video review with them. Creators typically enjoy that when people take time to check out their work. So I, again, not entirely a big tube zombie, no. But it's fun to try new things.
And that's awesome, because that is genuinely independent work.
Yeah.
The small press like that. I mean, we say Image is independent. No, I mean, they own almost a quarter of the market now. I don't know. Creator owned is probably the better terminology to use.
Sure.
I think we've had enough years of calling independent that that's what we call it now. But that is, that's sincerely, a lot closer to that when you're talking small press like that. That's
yep.
And that's cool.
Yeah, and I just love meeting people like at the conventions and stuff too. It's just cool to shake hands, get it signed, and say, hey, let's continue the conversation online.
Yeah, cool. Well, alrighty. Well, if we don't have anything else to chat with, I apologize for the chat. I forgot to pop it up through most of tonight. Normally I have it up and kind of pay attention to what people are talking about, but I kind of missed most of it. But it looks like all those guys that are hard at work are chatting away in the chat section. So that's awesome. Always appreciate you guys being here. Jay, sorry, whatever the technical issue was that made it to where you lagged so bad. Would have liked to have had you on to actually hear about the books you read. Since you read books the rest of us didn't read. I always love that, because of course there's always tons out that I don't have a clue on. I don't read a lot of Marvel, so I like to hear from people who do read Marvel, so I can keep a track of what's going on in the universe. But yeah, and anybody who watches this after the fact, appreciate it as always. Links in the message thing. Go check out these people's channels. Great channels. Lots of great stuff going on. And I know that John does all kinds of other stuff. He's got some podcast stuff going on too, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Working on a little something new right now.
Right. So you can kind of follow him there on a comic book look, and you'll be able to figure out the rest of where he's at and keep track of all that, because he's always got lots of stuff going on. So good stuff. So anyway, appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys for coming on and talking as always. Have a great night, and we'll be back next week probably. Some of us will anyway. I don't know.
There you go.
Whatever.
No, probably. I don't know.
Okay. Have a great one, everybody.
Bye.